Well, I'm so excited to have you on this show because you're one of my favorite human beings in the world. But we do want to be a little bit more serious and talk about some of the things that you're going through in this crazy year. And you're in a unique position because we discussed before, we both are the lucky ones in all of this to have a job, to not feel like our world is crumbling because we haven't been affected, thankfully, knock on wood, with Corona, anything like that. But you've also had a different kind of struggle working from home and suddenly having this super fast paced life in the Bay Area to now just essentially being trapped at your house. And I know you love your boyfriend, but we all need our personal space sometimes. So talk about that transition of just a completely new lifestyle.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for having me on here. It is a pleasure to be on here, and I think it's wonderful that you're giving everyone an opportunity to tell their story. So thank you for that. Um, it was abrupt, and it was unexpected for everyone, whatever their story was and how it personally affected them. And I think that was the toughest part, is not expecting it, not you know being able to look through a telescope or kaleidoscope, whatever, and see the future and prepare for that. So it was tough, but there were a lot of growing opportunities and a lot of just in general opportunities for me to learn about myself. And even in my relationship, I feel like it's been a boot camp of learning myself and my relationship and getting through certain obstacles. And although it's been really challenging, I think a lot of light has come out of it, and I'm very grateful for going through these growth spurts. So that's definitely a big positive from it all.
Yeah, do you think that even though sometimes as you're in it, it feels like the worst thing ever, but when you look back, you're like, these are really heavy things that we need to figure out in a relationship or just personally looking inwards. Like these are things that in the end you want to know about yourself. So I think boot camp was a great way to describe it. It's like sometimes we just really need to have a personal boot camp to get through the rough times, but we're so much better for it when we're done because that's what growth is, like that's what life is. But did you feel did you ever feel bad when you would see people losing their jobs and how much worse it could be, but then also just having a really shitty day and also wanting to complain sometimes?
Yes, of course. There's so much guilt that comes with having hard days, having anxiety about things, because, you know, comparatively speaking to other people, sure, like my situation is a lot brighter than other people's, but we can't process things the way we need to. We can't nurture ourselves the way we need to if if we don't allow ourselves the space and the time to get through our own struggles. And that was also a learning curve for me through this. And, you think about, you mentioned the fast paced life, right? And it's like, we almost didn't have time to process our thoughts and handle the emotions and the feelings that we go through, just because everything's been boom, 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 boom up until this point. It's like hustle, hustle. Okay, get home, repeat, and it's amazing that we now have the time to take care of ourselves. Um, And I'm sorry, what was the specific question? Sorry.
Just feeling guilt if like someone else,
Yeah,
you don't know what it's like. And I think you were
right.
just speaking on that, whether like pain I don't think should be compared. And yes, objectively speaking, you can say someone is going through something much worse than maybe someone else is, but I do think it's so important, like you said, to sit with what you're feeling and recognize that you're much better off than others, but to also say like, let's not race past this, because what you're saying with the everyday go go go, I fall victim to this all the time where you're moving so quick that like when it's all over, sometimes you're just like, huh? Like, was I even there for that? Was I present or was I just planning for the next thing? So, I mean, I thankfully am back to working and I'm a nanny. So my experience is very different. I'm still just going to a house and not a business and I don't have to deal with the Zoom meetings, but I've seen a picture of your schedule and it looks really stressful. Do you miss sometimes just like having a normal day at work, or would you prefer this Zoom life now?
You know what? I would say a good balance would be great. I've been going into our office. I work for a big tech company in San Francisco, just to get everyone on the same page. But I do miss going into the office, but I don't miss the constant feeling of like I can't keep up. Like, sometimes emotionally, mentally, it's like sometimes it feels crammed. Like I said before, like it's hard to find time to process things when you're always going at a certain speed. But I do miss the social interactions. I do miss the sense of being in a more of a structure versus being in my home and having blurred lines between my personal life and I'm on my couch right now, but I would take a Zoom call for work on my couch, and it's strange, right? So I do miss that. I think a little bit of both would be great. Just that nice balance where it's not too much, but it's not like not enough. I think that would be
I
great.
agree. I think I would like that too. But
Yeah.
I have to comment that I noticed that you still look very presentable. So how important is that for you? Just because I know if I was in my pajamas all day, I would feel like shit. Like I would just not feel productive. Not to say I would do like a full face of makeup, but I would need something just to like be like, okay, this is the day. So like what's kind of your routine now to get yourself into that headspace?
Totally. And that's so important to put yourself in that headspace. I don't believe that you have to dress or look a certain way to be successful, but I believe there's a lot of power behind putting thought and intention in your presence and how you present yourself to others. And that's super important at work, right? You want to give off the impression that you're trustworthy and that you take care of yourself, right? Those are all positive things. I make my bed every morning. That's huge for me. I'm usually in my desk. You normally see my bed in the background. It's my office space, 9 to 5, and then it turns into the TV lounge area at night and where I rest. But yeah, so I definitely make my bed, which is a part of my whole presentation for work in the virtual
That's
online world.
impressive though. You work in the same space that you lounge in later, so you don't have like a separate room.
Right. I mean, I have this couch area. I kind of was being jokey, but jokey, is that an adjective? I don't know. I was joking.
It's now.
Yeah, it's where I sleep. It's my bed, right? So, and California, we don't have in the Bay Area, we don't have the biggest apartments. So, but I definitely have my room organized, and I like to, wash my face at least. If I don't have time to take a full blown shower, I'll try to wash my face and just make myself feel fresh for the day, as if I were going into the office, because it does help you stick to a routine that kind of tells your brain, okay, it's time to get serious. It's time to be productive. There days where I'm in my sweatpants and my camera's off and I'm eating Cheetos. Like, yes, probably more than I'd like to admit, but
You're like
overall,
paranoid that the camera could be on. Are you ever like, oh
oh, oh, not at all. I got the little thing that flicks on and off. See, boom, I'm gone.
my, ooh,
Yes, look at that.
okay. Now, do you have any stories, even if it's just like, I don't know what you could share, but like a coworker, like you were just like, they didn't make their bed, or like you see these stories of the anchors with no pants on and things like that. Like, have you caught anyone you work with doing something embarrassing?
Oh gosh, no, I haven't caught a coworker doing anything embarrassing. No one's surprised at this, but I did it myself. Um, we have coffee chats every morning. It's just a way for us to virtually meet up and chat and, have a little bit of
Every
a social
morning?
presence. It's available every morning. We don't have to go every morning.
And already annoyed.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot sometimes, but you go when you can, and it's good for team culture and such. But yeah, so I had joined the call and there was no one on there, and I guess I forgot to X out. So I was on the call for like 20 minutes doing, I don't know what I was doing, checking emails. I don't know. Did I pick my nose? I don't know. There's no way of knowing, but I was on that call. I was live on camera for the longest time, not even paying attention.
Thank God
So,
it was just you working, considering like if you got up and you're just walking around,
right.
not clothes on, oh my God.
Right.
So funny. Speaking of funny, one of my favorite things about you, and anyone that knows you knows that you are hilarious, and it speaks so much more to just like the kindness in your heart, but you bring comedy in a way that always makes other people feel good. And you even have Instagram accounts that you create. And I know it's fun for you, but I think the purpose is so much cooler than just like a silly Instagram, because you just want to create joy. And in such a gut-wrenching year, what seems like is just depressing news every single day, we need things like that. Like, we need something to distract us and just to make us feel good. So talk about things like that for you, and why is comedy and humor such an important aspect of your personality?
Well, thank you. You're so sweet. I should have brought my Kleenex. You're just complimenting me. I can't say that word anyway. Thank you. So I believe that we all have gifts to share with people, and with at risk of not sounding like I'm very humble over here, I do understand that I can make people laugh, right? That's one of my gifts, and one of my many gifts, actually, one of thousands, actually. And I know that brings people joy, like you said, and it brings me joy. And I feel like, if we all do a little bit more of what brings us joy, we share that with other people. And that's so important right now, because everyone's going through it in their own type of way. And, we have to laugh at stuff, or else someone's going to have a stroke around here. Like, we just have to laugh. It's healthy. And I love doing it. So I love getting goofy. I've definitely learned to lighten up during this whole process. It's been my saving grace. And if I can help other people do that, then that's amazing.
So on the days that you do find yourself struggling, and whether you just wake up with anxiety for no reason, maybe speaking for myself on this one, but if you're just like, why am I so stressed out today? Like, what's different about today? And you almost get like mad at yourself for not just like being in a good headspace, or for whatever reason, it's not a good day from the start. What do you do? Like, what are some of your rituals that work for you to calm yourself down, or just to get you back to that healthy place?
Yeah, and that's super important. I'm lucky enough to be in tune with myself to catch when I'm getting in those feels, because sometimes you get so immersed in it you don't even recognize that you're there. But I do recognize that, especially being by myself primarily throughout the day, you're a lot more in tune with that. And I've noticed that when I don't take care of my body as well, it tends to collect. I'm the type of person that believes our mind, our body, and our spirit is all connected, and what we do to each separate aspect of ourselves has an effect on the other one. So I have noticed a pattern with me when I don't move, I don't stretch. I'm kind of in the routine of waking up, going straight to my computer, not a lot of movement. When I don't take care of my body, when I don't release some of the tension, and I don't let my body process the stress that I have, then it continuously builds up, and then it starts affecting my mentality and such. So I try to get up and stretch. I haven't been exercising as much as I would like to. I know that would significantly help. I always believe that it helps your mental state when you exercise, but at least like stretching, doing yoga has been so powerful for me. Just making sure it's simple stuff, making sure I'm drinking enough water, taking a step away. If I see that I'm frustrated with something, I just take a step away, of course, if I don't have any meetings. And that's another great thing about working from home right now, is you have that personal space to walk off, whereas in the office, if you're like kind of frustrated over something, you just have to sit there and hold it in. But yeah, definitely take those times to breathe and stretch and look at memes, some fire memes, maybe make some.
So do you think that we've kind of mastered your routine now with being at home, but when life, hopefully, maybe in 10 years starts to seem normal again, do you think it'll be easy to implement these changes that you found in yourself when life does get busy and back to normal again?
Absolutely. That's a great question. Absolutely. 100%. I think that one of the greatest takeaways from this all is learning to spend a little more time with myself mentally, not physically. I'm always with myself, no matter where I am, who's around me, whatever's going on. Spend more time getting my thoughts sorted, because I felt like I wasn't owed that time before. When everything was so busy, I felt like everyone else was owed my time and my energy and my spirit. And now I'm like, hey, like, there's a person inside of you that needs some of that love too. And that's definitely one of my greatest takeaways, being kind to myself. I'm like, why am I so mean to myself internally. I'd be so embarrassed if my friends heard like how I spoke to myself sometimes. And so definitely that, having a more intimate relationship with myself, and that I'll be able to carry this with me through the rest of my life. And I genuinely believe that when we take care of ourselves better, we take care of others better. So I think
Absolutely.
it's not a selfish thing. I think it's actually a selfless thing to understand that it impacts other people in a positive way, which therefore makes it
We're
healthy.
genuinely nicer humans when we're nicer to ourselves, because we're not coming from, it makes perfect sense. If you're not coming from this place of frustration and anger, you're just going to come off nicer. And that's just like
Mhm.
basic fact. So I agree with you 100%. But just to dive in a little deeper, what does that look like to really take time for yourself? What if you are in a super stressful day, you feel like you do need a second, but someone's like, Maddie, I need you right now? Could your response be like, give me a minute? Or would you say, okay, I'll get to myself later. I'll do what this person needs now? You know, like in real time, how would that play out?
Absolutely. I think it depends, right? If it's my manager, or if it's an urgent situation, you know, I'm going to have to do a judgment call at that point. But I would say overall, generally speaking, I feel like um, because I'm more worried about how I'm taking care of myself, I'm more likely to say, hey, I actually can't do this right now, but this is a priority for me. I will get to this. And I was never good at setting boundaries like that before, because I'm like, for the most part, a people pleaser, and I want to nurture people. And, you know, like I said before, I would always prioritize people over myself, but you can't give people your best. I can't do my best work if I'm stretched out so thin. Um, it's a practical thing too that I've learned. So I definitely feel like after all of this, I'm going to be so much better. You know, we'll see. Let's put it into practice. But I definitely feel like we'll be a lot more confident saying, hey, you know, these are my limits, and kind of taking it from there.
I love that. I'm really happy to hear that, because that is, we have to find the silver lining in all of this, right? Like, we will just be crying and depressed unless we find, okay, what good can I possibly take from all of this happening? And one thing I always love in other podcasts is when they say, like, these are the books I read, these are the podcasts I listen to, because inevitably I always find something else that I love too. So for you, what is that go-to source? What gets you in, and just what makes you really connect with who you are? What resources?
Um,
And it also could be like wine and music, like if that's truly
right.
what makes you feel best.
Um, it sounds kind of silly, but I like Instagram for a lot of reasons. I like art, I like photography, but I think a lot of people use it to open up about their feelings and talk. And that's opened up such a big conversation. So that's definitely been an outlet for me. A huge one has been my girlfriends. Um, and, you know, I'm in a group chat with you and some others, and I'm in another group chat with a bunch of girls. And, you know, for the most part, we're pretty open about, like, you know, if something's going on, you know, we'll talk about it. And it's just having those personal relationships has been like serious gold for me. And I hope it's been for my friends too. Um, Definitely been a little more chatty lately. And I think, you know, during these times, you start to think about things that are most important to you, because before it's like our perspective might have been a little different, and now we're cherishing things that maybe are a little more sentimental to us. So definitely my friendships, and the conversations that we have, and just listening to other women or anyone really speaking about what they're going through right now, no matter how great they have it or how bad they have it. Just, you know, any conversations out there, I think it is great. And I love that our generation is really talking about our feelings and our emotions, whereas before it seemed like it's like, you know, you don't talk about that, that makes you weak.
It's
So
weird to think that like we're humans and human beings have feelings, and somewhere along the lines we decided, just like you said, to be vulnerable meant you were weak. And why was that ever a thing? You know, it's not easy to always put out your inner feelings, but at the same time it's like, this is a part of life. This is what we're meant to do. We're supposed to feel things. We would literally be dead and robots if we didn't. And I have to agree with that as far as a group of friends. One thing I'm the most proud about my life are the group of people I have around me. And I think that speaks to your character by feeling so much better when you're around your friends, because that means that you've chosen the right people in your life. And we should only want to be around people that make us the best versions of ourselves, as cheesy as that sounds. That's what I want from my friends, and I think that's what you expect from yours. And I'm really happy to say that we are part of each other's circle, because the group chats definitely make me feel better. And for those watching on YouTube, this is a shirt that Maddie made me. It says 6 feet away, baby. And this is when first broke out, and is still happening 8 months later. But I love you. Thank you for taking the time, and please just continue to spread that joy and being a light to so many people, because we're paying attention and it's helping.
Thank you, Haley. Thank you so much. And I wanted to say one last thing that I forgot to mention. I have tried to shift my attitude a lot to be grateful. And this sense of gratitude, like seriously, it's a tool. You have to practice it. It's not, you don't wake up and all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, my life's perfect. It's not that. It's training your brain, going through the practice of saying, this is a good thing. This is a positive thing. And that's really helped me. So if anyone's looking to kind of shift, start with that. Start with thinking of things that you're grateful for. If you get yourself in a bad situation, think, well, what did I learn from it? What are the positives of it? There's a lot of power, but it takes practice. And so I definitely wanted to end on that. Gratitude is the attitude.
Gratitude. I could not have said it better myself. And with that, we will end there. Thank you so much. And I love you.
Thank you. Love you too. See ya.
See you later. Bye.